is thinking about cutting costs in governance. Would you think that it is right and appropriate to emerge the anti-graft agencies in Nigeria?
Okay, we can leave him with you too.
2, this Senate, you are undergoing screening of this Senate today. And after this screening, the Senate will bring it up as a resolution of the Senate. If you happen to find yourself at the Federal Executive Council, and probably you are given the portfolio as Minister for Justice, how would you treat the resolution of this Senate when it comes to it? Knowing fully well that it's not a law, but a resolution which is persuasive, how would you treat this resolution of the Senate when it comes to the Federal Executive Council? And again, finally, you know that local government system is the 3rd tier of government and is the only government very close to the rural dwellers. Do you think that it's right for all the states in Nigeria, or some of the states in Nigeria today, to stay for 4 good years as a Democrat without a democratically elected local government system? Thank you.
Barrister Dalong, you can take those questions.
The President, distinguished members of the Senate, I will start from up to down. I will take first the issue of prison congestion. Indeed, prison congestion is a very serious problem looking at the criminal administration of criminal justice in Nigeria. And it has a very long history. Even when I was in service, it was still a problem. And this has to do with the administration of justice as it relates to what happened in our courts and then the attitudes of our lawyers. Indeed, there is the presumption of innocence of an accused person. But if you look at the manner with which most accused persons are detained, sometimes they are detained in prison over the time with which, if convicted, they would have served. Now, which way out? I think there is a need for us to come up with a comprehensive policy that would review the issue of congestion in our prison system. The various chief judges of the state high courts and then the chief justice of the federation must admit the fact that we have a problem on our hands. More so that even the facilities available in the prisons are even not enough to accommodate the awaiting trial prisoners. In some instances, you have even the ATM more than even the number of convicted persons living in conditions that are far, far beyond what is even recommended by best known practices of detentions of persons. So if in the position to be able to advise, I will come up with a policy that will be presented to the council to see how a synergy is forged between the key actors in the administration of justice, lawyers, and then the corrective reform systems, which are our prisons, so that cases where persons does not necessarily need to be sent in prison, they could be granted bail, and on very serious cases, they could be remanded. That will also assist in the congestion of the prison. Lawyers must also live up to their responsibilities of perfecting their briefs and standing by their clients once issues come up in court, because most of these problems sometimes arise from the attitude of the lawyers who might not be in court and the accused person is sent to prison. So there is a need for a comprehensive synergy to approach the issue. And I think if the policy is actually initiated and supported, it will go a long way. The chief judges of the state high court can also visit prisons and look at the situation, and those situations that require either releasing them or granting bail, they can do that. That will help. Then the issue of a master plan, which Senator Nyako came up with the issue of a master plan that will give direction to the government and the role I will play. Indeed, I have lived with an opinion for a very long time as to how things should be done. And this is a personal commitment that I have made to myself. So finding myself in government will not look different. I think if we must move this country forward, then we must insist on ensuring that things are done according to laid down rules and regulations. And opinions should not matter unless they have been legislated upon as laws to guide. And this idea of every government coming in and abandoning existing policies, coming up with new ones, and after another government will come in with new ones, is responsible for the culture of lack of maintenance, which has characterized our public life. So I think the change government, coming from the word change, will have to adopt the attitude of Karl Marx, who said, for you to appreciate and predict the success of a phenomenon, you need to review the history of that phenomenon. So change can only be effective when we will take into consideration where we stopped and review those things that are compatible with the change agenda, take them along and jettison those ones that are not necessary and maintain it so that we can develop a consistent culture of our national policy. Then the question of distinguished Senator Akume as to the religious crisis in the North Central, the triangle of crisis, cattle rustling, and then the need for whether the triangle states should be covered with a Marshall Plan. I think, to be very fair to addressing the security challenges that has enveloped the Northeast, we must look at the history of this crisis. They started somewhere within Plateau and then Benue, Kaduna, before relocating and then being domesticated as it were today in the Northeast. So if we are coming up with a master plan to address the problem and not going to look at or coming up with a master plan that would address where it started, then certainly we are going to do what the Hausa man refers to as plaiting a very fine hair but with a lice-infected head, and the problem will not be over. So I'm of the strong conviction that these triangular crisis states should be covered by a Marshall Plan, because the fundamental root causes of these things has to do with unemployment, has to do with poverty. And if you have a master plan in the Northeast, and poverty has not been tackled in those areas that kick-started crisis, then certainly they will remain as fueling grounds, and this crisis will continue. So, the Senate President, my candid opinion is that we should look at having, including these states in a master plan so that we can address the problem of the crisis once and for all. Cattle rustling, to my mind, is an issue that we have not given due attention. Cattle rustling is not limited only to Nigeria. And the misconception we have of cattle rustling is that it is an issue between the Fulani herdsmen and the farmers. I think I seek to differ. It is a conflict that has to deal with pastoralism. And when you take the concept pastoralism, it has to do with a mobile community that owns livestock. And these are not only limited to the Fulanis. So if you take it Fulani versus the farmers, then you are missing the point. Cattle rustling is a crime that has international connection. In Kenya, cattle rustlers had something similar to the drug barons obtainable in Latin America. They move with sophisticated arms in search of where they could get animals and snatch. And so, if it is not given the due attention in Nigeria, we may find ourselves in the final analysis thinking the problem is local, but we will now have to move out of the insurgency to now contend with cattle rustling, which has some international connection. So I think the impunity associated with cattle rustling in most states should be tackled headlong. All those who have been arrested should be properly investigated.